So right off the entrance hall and the living room is my library. And that's one of the great characteristics of Rosario Candela's architecture, that you can rotate around the rooms, which means that you're never in a dead spot. And so you can go to the library from the living room, or you can go from the hall. Very wonderful when you're having a party. Nobody's stuck. Anyway, so the library, which is originally burgundy, because I had this idea early on that libraries had to be dark and moody, was in retrospect a little depressing. So now the walls, which look plain blue, are not really. It's a triple glaze. We started out with a layer of like a baby blue paint, and then we glazed gold on top of it with a stipple brush. And then we added another layer of the blue. So what's great about decorative paint is that you don't get what is called dead walls. All the walls vibrate and have, the color changes as you walk through the room and as the day changes. So that's one important thing, is the blue. I also added a lot of white here in terms of the woodwork to make the room lighter. I'm only on the second floor. This room I always use as my laboratory for discussing what we call layered lighting. You can't have too many sources of light in a room. This is like critical. So we start with the overhead light. That's the biggest. This is actually a Polish chandelier. I'm not sure I knew how the dealer figured that out, but it's Polish. And then we have lamps, right? Then we have lamps. Then we have sconces. For example, I have the sconces here on either side of the convex mirror. Then we have picture lights, which illuminate the art. Then we have bookcase lights, which are very important because they wash down the bookcases are so important. I can't even explain how important, because it's not only what you've read and what you think about, but it's also what it adds to your life. Like, it's so interesting for me. And then the only time I ever use a downlight, only time, is to illuminate a work of art. In this case, an Ellie Cullman sculpture, neoclassical sculpture, which was one of the last things I bought in the apartment. But I do love it, and it's on a base that turns, so you can see, that's actually a prettier angle. Anyway, so that's 7 sources of light. It's pretty amazing. Oh, and I forgot. Come look over here. These are we call them happy lights, and they're lights at the top of the window. So at night, you know how at night windows become just a black piece of glass? With this light, it gives a nice wash over the windows. And I think that's just a great thing. And I have it in all the rooms downstairs, which unifies the entertaining space also. So here again, we're talking about the conversation between art periods. And here we have Kenneth Noland, Warm Reverie from 1962. It's so meaningful to me because not only did I know him, but it's also all about color. And that's what I do every day in life, is I work with color. But I love how the circle of the Noland repeats the circle of the convex mirror. That's a nice dialogue. But then again, look at this. Here we have 2 19th century works of art, William Harnett and John Frederick Peto. Again, these things could not be more different in their periods, including my Avery this is one of my most cherished artworks too, from the 1930s. I just love everybody, as they say, talking. My advice is really simple. Buy what you love, and even if you don't at the beginning understand the connection, there's a reason why you liked X and Y together, and that's going to be meaningful to you going forward. And it'll work. It'll absolutely work. And I think my apartment's a study in that. Books are so important in how you display them. People just smush their books into bookcases, generally speaking, and that looks very untidy. So I like to introduce some glamour to them. So here I introduced 2 things. Delft porcelain, which was primarily 18th century, made in England and in Holland. And then this is something that references my love of Asia. These are building blocks from a temple in Cambodia. And I think they're just fantastic. So I always try to have 2 things in addition to the books, something flat and something that's not flat. But you can do more than that. It just has to feel cohesive. So when you look from wall to wall, you're not seeing a different recipe. You're seeing a symphony of recipes, hopefully. So the library was burgundy, floor to ceiling. And I had an Anigre rug. So you can see I'm always using antique carpets. This is a Tabriz from the 30s, very unusual with this light blue color, which of course gave birth to the color of the walls. But I had an Anigre carpet. I was obsessed. I love red. I was obsessed with rubies at that point, and it was a ruby grounded carpet, and then it gave birth to ruby walls. And it was very pretty, but it was just like a little claustrophobic for me. So when we redid the apartment with John Murray, we added this dado in the white, which was a good foil for the walls. We didn't have to paint everything the same color. This was our very first hand-sewn curtain cuff. Being in the business now for 40 years, just buying a tassel fringe doesn't do it for me. I need to do something that's unique and one of a kind. After all, what we do is so expensive. We want to give our clients something really special. So we drew this out, and then we had, this was done not by the people in Paris or the people in India. This was done actually by a workroom in New York. So it's appliqued, right? The blue is appliqued, and then it's embroidered, this floral motif. And then you put it on like a curtain trim on the curtain. See, in the later ones that we did that we just saw in the other rooms, we grew more adventurous and went right onto the curtain fabric. The table is a Regency desk. This is actually something interesting for people, perhaps. Desks are always a problem like this. A partner's desk is nice because you can two people can sit at either side. But think about how many legs you would have if you had legs on this desk. You would have 12 legs. So having a pedestal end calms this elevation down, and I think that's important. What's interesting about this, and I know this sounds crazy, but we're always looking for drink stands. This has been something that we, when you don't have room for another coffee table, or this can't talk to the coffee table, somebody's got to be able to put their fantastic martini down. So this is a drink stand that I dubbed it a drink stand, but it's actually a lunchbox from Japan. It's really, see? So when they sent this, ooh, there goes the glass. Anyway, when they sent this, I don't know, from A to B, they put all the lunch inside. And then, to me, this worked so well. It's the perfect size for a drink stand, but I love that it has this wonderful metal work, the caning, and then I had to add the glass, of course, because if not, it would have gone right through the caning. So this leads into my study, which was actually a shared study before the kids moved out. But now I get to populate it with all my stuff, which is really good. And I didn't clean up too much because I was told not to clean up too much. This room really expresses my love of orange in addition to red. So take a look at the walls. We now have a new vendor from Italy who does couture, who weaves these fabrics for us. And what's interesting about this, which you can't tell from a photograph, it's so iridescent. There are all these threads put in the fabric. It's so iridescent. And then because I had 2 walls of books, it was important to have the curtains repeat the fabric that's on the other 2 walls to kind of unify the room. And here again we have another one of our exciting embroideries on the curtain. We have something that was new to us. This is one of our vendors, actually from Brooklyn, who embellishes leather with hand-embroidered stuff. Couldn't say no to that. So we don't typically buy upholstery from a showroom, that's open to the public. We only buy for the ones that cater to the trade. And we have 2 or 3 that we work with all the time. And this is one of our special people that we love. So I love these. This is also interesting too. This throw pillow is done by a Japanese artist who lives in America who kind of does these, I don't know what to call them, but like abstract landscapes. The window seat was so great. I lived there during COVID. The window seat is such a great thing to have in a room. I can lie down and sit up because I'm short. And I lived there during COVID and read all my books and did my computer in the window. It was a wonderful thing. Okay, so it's the same philosophy behind all of our bookcases, which is the mix between flat things, in this case photographs of the family, and then these orange Chinese pottery that I found in London, and kind of completes the orange color scheme of the room. This desk I love, and I bought it from John Roselli when he had several stores, and I was told that it was Bunny Williams' old desk, and I hope it is, because I love Bunny and I love that she's channeling me when I'm sitting there. So we've talked about my obsession with bookcases, and along with John Murray, the architect who worked on this, we came up with this detail which is called a ratcheted bookshelf, because as opposed to, I showed you my shoe cabinet, that has the grommeted pins, which are not half as attractive as these. Look at how beautiful these are. So we use this for adjustable shelves, which is really good. And the other thing that John did that was so clever is, you see this space here? That's a corner column in the building. It's holding the building up. So he figured out that we could mask it with a little self-promotion, the 5 books that I've written, and that's what I've done here. Okay, like in every room, the chandelier is a must. A must. And this one is also Austrian and early 19th century. And I love it with the modern art. This was made like 5 years ago. I bought that from a downtown dealer. I was so impressed with all the orange. I had to put it in the room. People are born with their color palettes. I'll give you an example. Recently, we finished 3 homes for a woman who lives primarily now in Miami Beach. So New York, Miami Beach, and the Hamptons. And she only likes the color blue. And there are only very specific shades of blue that she likes. And it was a challenge to make each residence look different and exciting. But I think we came off okay. This is a very personal space for me, because I have pictures of the whole family at various moments. Here I have some of my favorite books that I do work in this room all the time, so I'm also always opening these books for inspiration. And again, another mirror. Gotta have a mirror, right? And again, it takes that window on Park Avenue and augments it. As you see, I have a lot of books on the floor, which when I was younger was considered a no-no. But I love the books that are I always try to make them not much taller than the table that they're next to. I used to have them in 2 stacks so they were shorter, but then I didn't know it was behind. So now I go just as high or a little bit higher than whatever wood piece it's next to. And it just gives me a lot of pleasure to know that I have all these books here, even if I haven't read a whole bunch of them. I mean, I've read most of them, but that's the story. Here we are in my husband's study, and I'm so glad that Roomworthy came here, because I've never been able to clean it. He's out of town, so I was able finally to clean it up a little bit. So the books are organized, my towers are organized, his shelves are organized. This is a beautiful thing. I hope he lets me keep it like this when he comes home from Canada. What's interesting about this study is that for years we did people's studies in one wood, all wood paneled. And I started to feel that even with this light wood, which is called Anigre, which is the burl of the maple, and you can see it runs like railroad tracks. Even with this light wood, I was like, I don't think I want to do the whole room in it, because I'm on a low floor. So we came up with the idea of mixing the colored wall with the wood, and I think it's so much less oppressive. In fact, I think it's cheerful. This was a first for us, and now we do it all the time, basically. This room doesn't have so many pops of red because it's my husband's room, and he's a real blue guy like most guys. So I found this carpet, which is really good because it's like stain-proof. And then I found this painting. This is actually an important painting by Stanley Whitney, who's got a big following right now. And these are his wife's paintings. Isn't this wonderful? I brought them together, the Patricia Tribe. But again, I can't miss not having a push for Asia. So here's behind the door, a Japanese photographer. I have a bunch of his stuff. These are called bees, B-I. These are Chinese ceremonial objects, supposedly 1,000 years old. I don't know that I buy that, but that's the supposed. And then this is parts of, in a Japanese tokonoma, where you display art. They have these sliding doors, so I was able to buy these pieces of sliding doors, which I put here. And then my flat things, the family photographs. You know, it's kind of, we are pretty harmonious in our message. Remember earlier I spoke about the fact that the artisans of today are really sensational. And this is an Art Deco inspired desk that we channeled from one of the great French ébénistes in the Deco period. And one of our great people made it for my husband because the size was very unusual. And look at all the detailing. Look, for example, over here, see the base? That's all hammered bronze. Isn't that gorgeous? And then this is Macassar ebony. And then come here and you see all the drawers and everything, which is so fabulous. This is made like in the last 3 years. But look at the quality of the craftsmanship. It's incredible. He even forged these pulls for me. And it's functional, it's beautiful, it's what furniture should be. My husband usually lets me do what I want, but sometimes he says no, which is so irritating. But anyway, when I showed him the idea for this desk, he had a really boring 19th century English desk here before. This was like light years away, and he loved the drawings, and he was like, go for it. So that's the story. Hi, we're in the elevator landing of the apartment, and what's really great about this is the designer, Rosier Candela, of this building, didn't want people to talk to their neighbors. So we each have, here, you see I have another, my neighbor's apartment is here. And we have, didn't want people to feel like they had to talk to their neighbors. So we have a fire door between us and 2 separate elevators, which is a beautiful thing. Remember I said he was trying to convince people to leave their townhouses and go to apartment living because it was easier. But so anyway, again, it's so important to make an interesting entrance when you come into any residence. So here I channeled my favorite, reds and golds, and I designed this stencil, which is based on a Japanese kimono obi, you know, the big scarves. But if you feel it, it's actually 3-dimensional. So it's kind of a combination between the decorative paint and all the things that we like to do. You know, the accessories, the furniture, the lighting fixture. It's just what we do. Oh, home is a refuge. It's so wonderful and so special to have a place that you can go to, which not only is a repository for all your memories, but gives you great solace in this crazy world, especially now that we're living in. Home is so important, so I feel very lucky to be in a profession that gives such joy and comfort to so many people.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.